My brother-in-law assaulted me, left me with a bloody face and a dislocated shoulder, all because I refused to be their guarantor on a mortgage. My sister's response: "You should have just signed it." I somehow dragged myself to my parents' house, begging for help, before collapsing at their door. What happened next was so disturbing, even the police were shocked. Hey everyone, I'm Audrey, and I'm 32 years old. I never imagined I'd be telling this story, a story that starts with my own brother-in-law assaulting me, leaving me with a bloody face and a dislocated shoulder. All of this happened because I refused to co-sign their mortgage. When it was all over, my sister just stood there and said, "You should have signed the mortgage." I dragged myself to my parents' house, desperate for help, and collapsed on their doorstep. What happened next? Even the police were horrified. Before I go any further, tell me where you're watching from in the comments. And if you've ever had to choose between family loyalty and protecting yourself, please hit like and subscribe. Growing up in a modest neighborhood in Michigan, Natalie and I were a team. She was 5 years older and always had my back. She was my protector on the playground, my tutor for homework, and the one who chased away anyone who teased me. Our parents, a high school economics teacher and a hospital nurse, weren't rich, but they gave us something more valuable: a strong foundation of family values, the importance of education, and smart financial habits. "Always have 6 months of expenses saved," my dad would say, helping us set up our first bank accounts. "And never risk more than you can afford to lose." Those lessons became a part of who I was. Natalie was a little more free-spirited with money, but despite our differences, we were incredibly close. I looked up to her confidence and how easily she handled social situations. When she left for college, I was devastated. I missed our late-night talks and her protective presence. 4 years later, I followed her path to college, working part-time jobs to help with my scholarships. While she bounced between majors, I focused on business administration. I was fascinated by organizational structures and management. After graduating, I landed a job at a marketing firm and worked my way up, becoming an office manager by 29. My hard work paid off, and last year, I bought my own 2-bedroom condo. It was a huge milestone, a symbol of my financial discipline. Natalie took a different route. She worked a series of jobs after college, never quite finding her passion. 3 years ago, she met Greg at a barbecue. Their relationship moved fast, and they were engaged within 6 months. The wedding was beautiful, and as her maid of honor, I gave a heartfelt speech welcoming Greg to the family. At first, I thought Greg was a great influence on Natalie. He was charismatic and seemed to adore her. He worked in sales for a telecommunications company, and while his income was commission-based and fluctuated, they seemed to be doing okay. Natalie took a part-time job at a boutique, which I thought was more for the social life and discounts than for the money. We remained close after Natalie got married. Sunday dinners at our parents' house were a tradition. But I started to notice some changes in Natalie. The sister who once loved thrift stores now talked about designer brands. She'd make comments about my practical car, suggesting I should treat myself to something more luxurious. Greg often steered conversations toward money, asking about my salary or the value of my condo. At the time, I just figured it was his sales background. But in hindsight, these were red flags I missed. "Your sister and I are thinking about investment properties," Greg mentioned one Sunday. "Real estate is where true wealth is built." My parents nodded but exchanged a look. Later, my dad reminded me, investment requires knowledge and caution. I hope Greg knows what he's doing. Around this time, I started dating Tyler, a police officer. He was kind and grounded, and we shared a similar, practical approach to life. Greg, however, seemed competitive with Tyler, often interrupting him or dismissing his career. Tyler noticed but was always gracious about it for my sake. Now I see that Greg was testing my financial limits and building an image of success that didn't match their reality. Natalie was becoming more and more absorbed into his world, where possessions meant success and family was a resource to be used. The last truly peaceful family dinner was my 30th birthday 4 months ago. Natalie gave me a handmade bracelet, just like we used to make as kids. For a moment, I saw my old sister again, the one who valued our connection over things. If only I had known how quickly our relationship was about to fall apart. The request that would tear us apart came on a Tuesday night. Natalie called, her voice buzzing with excitement. "We have amazing news, and we want you to be the first to know," she gushed. I arrived with a bottle of wine, assuming they were pregnant. Their apartment was clean, candles were lit, and a fancy dinner was ready. Greg was overly attentive, pulling out my chair and refilling my glass. "So, what's this big news?" I asked as Natalie served my favorite dessert, a homemade tiramisu. They exchanged glances, and Greg pulled out his phone to show me photos of a beautiful 2-story house with a wraparound porch. "We found our dream home," Natalie's eyes sparkled. "It has 4 bedrooms, a gourmet kitchen, and a huge soaking tub." "Wow, it's gorgeous," I said sincerely. "Are you really buying it?" "We put in an offer yesterday, and it was accepted this morning," Greg said, beaming. I nearly choked on my dessert. The house looked like it cost at least $500,000, way more than they could afford. "I know what you're thinking," Greg said smoothly, "but I'm in line for a big promotion next month. It's practically a done deal." This was the first I'd heard of a promotion. Greg had changed jobs twice in 3 years, never quite achieving the success he promised. "That's great," I said cautiously. "When do you close?" "That's why we wanted to talk to you," Natalie said, reaching for my hand. "With Greg changing jobs recently, the bank needs a little extra security on the loan." My stomach sank. "Your credit score is great, and you have that stable job history the banks love," Greg continued. "We just need you to co-sign as a guarantor. It's just a formality. You wouldn't have to contribute financially." The casualness of their request was staggering. Being a guarantor would make me legally responsible for their mortgage if they defaulted. With Greg's job history and their spending habits, this was anything but a formality. "This is a big decision," I said carefully. "Can I have some time to think it over and look at the details?" A flicker of annoyance crossed Greg's face. "Of course, but we need to let the bank know by next week to lock in our interest rate." On the drive home, my dad's warnings echoed in my head. I spent the next day researching what being a guarantor really meant. The more I learned, the more worried I became. If they missed payments, my credit would be ruined. If they defaulted, I'd be responsible for their debt and could lose my own home. My financial advisor, Linda, was blunt. "This is an enormous risk. Based on their financial history, I strongly advise against it." 3 days after the dinner, I met Natalie for coffee, hoping to talk to her alone. "I've been researching what being a guarantor means," I began gently. "It's a much bigger commitment than Greg made it sound like." Natalie slowly stirred her latte. "I know it sounds scary, but we would never put you in a bad position. Greg is definitely getting that promotion." "But what if something unexpected happens?" I asked. "What's the contingency plan?" "There you go again," she sighed. "Always planning for the worst. Can't you just trust us?" "I do trust you, but this is business," I said. "Mixing family with major financial commitments can get complicated. Maybe you could wait until Greg's promotion is official." Disappointment filled her face, but she nodded. "I'll talk to Greg about alternatives." I thought the conversation went well, but that evening I got a text from Greg. "Natalie told me about your concerns. I guess blood isn't as thick as water after all." The passive-aggressive message was just the start. That Sunday, at my parents' house, Greg was cold and distant. Natalie looked anxious, caught in the middle. I tried to explain my position, suggesting a smaller house or waiting until they were more stable. "We've done the math," Greg said sharply. "We can afford this house. We just need your signature to satisfy the bank's red tape." "If you've done the math, can you show me the budget breakdown?" I suggested. That would help me feel more comfortable. So now we have to prove ourselves to you. Greg's voice rose. Your sister isn't enough of a guarantee. My dad stepped in. Financial decisions shouldn't be rushed. Maybe you all need more time. There's no time. Greg snapped. The market is competitive, and this opportunity won't wait. As they left, Natalie hugged me stiffly. I thought I could count on you, she whispered, her words cutting deep. My mom walked me to my car. Be careful, Audrey, she warned. Greg can be intense. Whatever you decide, make sure it's what you truly believe is right. That night, Tyler's concern was immediate. This is a red flag, Audrey. Financial entanglement is often the first step in a controlling relationship. Be careful. Saying no to something that makes you uncomfortable isn't saying no to your sister. His words solidified my resolve. I had to protect myself. 2 weeks of uncomfortable silence followed. I tried to reach out, but Natalie's responses were brief and noncommittal. Then, one Tuesday morning, my phone rang. Audrey, it's me. Natalie's voice was strained. The bank needs an answer by Friday. We need to know if you're going to help us. I've thought a lot about this, I said carefully. I just don't think I can take on that level of financial risk. Risk? What risk? Her tone was sharp. This is about family loyalty. Remember when I loaned you $300 for car repairs in college? I didn't ask questions. The comparison was absurd, and before I could respond, she continued. Mom and Dad are disappointed, too. They raised us to support each other. I was stunned. Did they tell you that directly? They didn't have to. It's obvious how family is supposed to work, she retorted. Greg says your boyfriend is probably poisoning you against us. The conversation fell apart, leaving me feeling guilty and manipulated. I called my parents, who confirmed they had never expressed disappointment in my decision. In fact, they had told Natalie and Greg to respect my choice. 2 days later, the escalation began. The receptionist at work told me I had visitors. Natalie and Greg were waiting in the lobby. We need to talk, Greg said firmly. It can't wait. I led them to a conference room. I'm in the middle of interviews today. What's so urgent? Greg placed a folder on the table. We brought the mortgage paperwork. All we need is your signature, and we can stop bothering you. I told Natalie my decision, I said, trying to stay calm. It hasn't changed. Greg's face hardened. Do you have any idea what this house means to your sister? This is our future. I understand, but there are other houses, other options, I said. We don't want other options. His voice rose. This is the house we want, the neighborhood we need for our future kids. Are you really going to deny your future nieces and nephews a safe place to grow up? The emotional blackmail was blatant. Natalie sat silently, letting Greg attack. Finally, she spoke. If you can't do this one thing for me, maybe we need to reevaluate our relationship. Sisters are supposed to be there for each other no matter what. I felt sick. This isn't about not wanting to help. It's about a sound financial decision that protects all of us. Protects you, you mean? Greg sneered. Always looking out for yourself first, right? As they left, I was shaking. I called Tyler, who warned me, this is getting out of hand. They're using emotional blackmail. Financial coercion is a real thing. Maybe document these interactions. That weekend, my parents tried to mediate with a family dinner. The atmosphere was thick with tension. During dessert, Natalie brought up the house. We might lose our dream home because some people don't understand family commitment, she announced, staring at me. My dad tried to shut it down. Natalie, we agreed not to discuss this. Why not? It's all that matters right now, she insisted. Audrey is being selfish. Financial decisions are personal, my mom said gently. Your sister has a right to her own choices. So you're taking her side, too. Natalie's voice cracked. There are no sides, my dad said. Just different perspectives on a business decision. Greg put his arm around Natalie. Come on, babe. It's clear where everyone stands. Your sister has her precious financial security, and we lose our future. But at least she doesn't have to risk anything for family. The evening ended bitterly. As they drove away, my mom squeezed my hand. Stay strong, sweetheart. This isn't really about the house. Something else is going on with them. Her intuition was correct. The next week, I started getting strange calls about unauthorized credit checks. My bank contacted me about unusual activity. Someone was trying to access my financial information. Tyler noticed the toll it was taking and advised me to change all my passwords and set up fraud alerts. This isn't a normal family disagreement anymore, he warned. Greg is showing signs of financial desperation, which can be dangerous. I went to my financial advisor, Linda, who ran a deeper investigation. Audrey, there are some serious red flags here, she said gravely. Greg has significant undisclosed debt. Multiple maxed-out credit cards, a personal loan, collections, and a previous mortgage default from before he married your sister. If you were to become their guarantor, you would be taking on far more risk than you realize. The information was staggering. Did Natalie know about this? Was this why they were so desperate? Either she was being deceived, or she was complicit. Armed with this knowledge, my decision was final. I spent an evening preparing an information packet for them, filled with alternative financing options and listings for more affordable homes. I truly believed that by offering solutions, I could salvage my relationship with my sister. It was an approach born of hope, but it severely underestimated the desperation driving Greg's behavior and how much Natalie had surrendered her judgment to him. It was a quiet Thursday evening when everything exploded. I had just finished the information packet, highlighting alternatives to needing a guarantor and listings for more affordable homes. I was feeling good about this constructive approach, even ordering Natalie's favorite Thai food to help me relax after weeks of tension. At 9:30, a sudden, aggressive pounding on my door startled me. Through the peephole, I saw Greg's angry face. Natalie stood behind him, arms crossed, looking tense. Audrey, open the door. We know you're in there. Greg shouted. My heart pounded. I quickly texted Tyler my location with a brief, Greg here, very angry message, then opened the door with the security chain still on. What's going on? Why are you pounding on my door this late? Take off the chain, Audrey. We need to talk. It's late. Can this wait? I have some information for you guys. Tomorrow. Greg laughed bitterly. There is no tomorrow. The bank called. We lost the house because you were too selfish to help us. Before I could react, he slammed his shoulder against the door, breaking the chain. I stumbled back as he pushed his way in, followed by Natalie, who looked pale but resolute. Greg, you need to leave, I said, reaching for my phone. He snatched it and threw it across the room. Nothing about this is okay. Do you have any idea what you've done to your sister? I couldn't take on the financial risk, but I've been researching alternatives, I protested, pointing to the folder on my table. He followed my gaze, flipped through it. Cheaper houses, first-time buyer programs. You think we want your charity, he sneered. He grabbed the folder and threw it, scattering papers across the floor. Greg, please, Natalie finally spoke, but not to stop him. Let's just go. She's made her choice. No, I want her to understand what she's done. Greg insisted, his face inches from mine. Do you know what the realtor told us today? They accepted another offer because they got tired of waiting for our financing that would have been secured if you had just signed. I could smell alcohol on his breath. I'm sorry you lost the house, but there will be other houses you can afford without a guarantor, I said. Afford? Greg's laugh was ugly. You think you know everything about our finances. Actually, I do, I said, my fear turning to anger. I know about the maxed out credit cards, Greg, the personal loan, the collections, and your previous mortgage default. The color drained from his face. You had no right to look into my financial history. I had every right when you were asking me to guarantee hundreds of thousands of dollars. I counted. Did Natalie know about all this? I looked at my sister, whose expression had changed from resolve to confusion. Natalie, did you know? Don't talk to her. Greg roared, stepping between us. This is between you and me now. No, it's not. I insisted, trying to get to Natalie. Natalie deserves to know the truth. This isn't just about a house. Greg has serious financial problems he's been hiding. Shut up, he roared. He shoved me hard against the wall. The back of my head hit with a sickening thud. Greg. Natalie gasped, but didn't move. He slammed me against the wall again. A searing pain exploded in my right shoulder. I screamed. He grabbed my wrist, twisting it. Stop. You're hurting me. I cried, looking at my sister. Natalie, please help me. What happened next was a blow of motion and agony. His fist connected with my face. I tasted blood as my lips split. Another blow hit my cheekbone. I collapsed, my dislocated shoulder sending waves of pain through my body. Through my tear-blurred vision, I saw Natalie standing frozen, watching her husband assault her. I reached for her with my good arm. Natalie, please. I begged. She finally moved, not to help me, but to leave. Greg, that's enough. Let's go. He stepped back, breathing heavily. You brought this on yourself, he spat. As they headed for the door, I managed to choke out, Natalie, how can you let him do this? She paused in the doorway. The look on her face was cold and unrecognizable. You should have just signed the mortgage, she said. And then they were gone. I was left bleeding on my apartment floor, betrayed by the person I had trusted my entire life. The physical pain was unbearable, but it was nothing compared to the shattering of my heart. I don't know how long I lay there. The blood on the floor was a grim reminder of what had happened. My phone was shattered, useless, but survival kicked in. I had to get help. I used my left arm to drag myself to a sitting position. The room spun with dizziness. The only option was to get to my car and drive to my parents' house, 15 minutes away. Each movement was a fresh wave of agony. I crawled to my purse, found my keys, and struggled to my feet. The journey down the stairs was a nightmare. I could only use the railing with my left hand, descending sideways, one painful step at a time. I almost fell twice. By the time I reached my car, my blouse was soaked with blood and sweat. Driving one-handed with a dislocated shoulder and a possible concussion was dangerous, but I had no choice. The 15-minute drive took almost 40 minutes. I kept talking to myself to stay conscious. Almost there. Just a few more blocks. Stay awake. Keep driving. When I finally reached my parents' house, relief nearly overwhelmed me. I parked haphazardly and staggered to their front door. My strength gave out, and I slumped against the doorframe, weakly knocking. Dad! I whispered. It's me. The door swung open, and I'll never forget the horror on my parents' faces. My mother screamed. My dad's strong arms caught me as I collapsed. Greg, I slurred through swollen lips. He attacked me. Natalie watched. That was all I could get out before the pain and shock took over. I vaguely felt my mom dialing 911, her voice frantic and tearful. My daughter has been assaulted. She's bleeding badly and her shoulder looks dislocated. My dad's voice was tight with rage and fear as he knelt beside me. Who did this, Audrey? Did you say Greg? I managed a nod, which sent a fresh spike of pain through my skull. Mortgage, I mumbled, because I wouldn't sign. The ambulance and police lights soon filled the room. As the paramedics assessed me, a police officer knelt down. Can you tell me who did this to you? Greg Walsh, I whispered. My sister's husband. And you drove yourself here like this? He asked, his voice full of disbelief. I managed a slight nod. Jesus, he muttered, then caught himself. I mean, that shows incredible strength. We'll get you medical attention first, then we'll need a formal statement. As they moved me onto a gurney, I heard the officer talking quietly to his partner. Call it in. Aggravated assault.